Hey guys, welcome back to the Dope Black Chick podcast. I am your host, Kimberly, and today we have a very special guest on the show with us. For the past couple of weeks, we have been discussing identity and, who do we call ourselves after a role change? Well, what do you do when the life you built looks perfect from the outside, but on the inside, you've been disappearing for years? That's not a hypothetical question. For a lot of us, especially women in marriage, that is the quiet reality that we don't really talk about. And my guest today wrote an entire memoir about it. She didn't just write it, she lived it in public. Her name is Myesha Chaney, and her book is called Honest, a memoir of what I built, what I lost, and who I became. From the very first page, guys, I felt it. Y'all know I am a bookie, okay? I love a good book. And I felt this almost immediately because she is not talking about a dramatic villain story. She is talking about how we can love someone, build a real life with that person, and still lose ourselves completely in the process. And so that is what today is about. Myesha, welcome to the Dope Black Chick podcast. I am so glad that you are here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. We've been talking about identity on the Dope Black Chick podcast. Um, we started out talking about when your title is gone, who are you, right? That was our recent episode. And it was on the backs of a lot of women in corporate have lost their jobs and they've lost these titles. They're finding themselves in a place where they don't know like what they're supposed to do or who they are without this title. And so when this book landed in my hands, I was like, this is still the same subject matter, but it's even deeper because this is true and I've lived both of these lives. And so in the role that you stepped into, I'm going to read a quote from the book. You say, in the Black church, the role of a pastor's wife often leaves little room for personhood. You become an idea, a symbol, a soft landing place for the congregation's needs, fears, and projections. Your humanity becomes a luxury you are not allowed to afford. Now, I don't know many pastor wives, but I do know a lot of my ex-married friends were deeply in the church. And so a lot of this matriculates down to them, okay? And so you describe stepping into this role with no orientation, no manual, just unspoken rules enforced through smirks and side eyes and all of that. What did it feel like to learn a role that way? And when did you first sense it was actually costing you?
It was a wild ride because at first, and I also want to give context, I was about 18 years old when I kind of walked into this life. So
Mm,
I was still trying to figure out who I was and my identity and what it meant to be Myesha. I got married at 21 and I initially felt overwhelmed by it, thinking, well, what am I supposed to do here? This is weird. This is different. I didn't expect it. And then the dysfunctional part of me jumped in and said, well, no matter what, I'm going to be good at whatever it is. So I was determined to conquer whatever this was. And I wanted to define it for myself. And I saw it as then an opportunity to grow and to become whatever they wanted me to be. I didn't realize at that time that it was going to be so expensive.
ooh,
And it took me probably about 10 years, maybe even 15 years before I really started to understand that in order for me to be everything to everybody else, I have to lose 100% of myself. And that was no longer okay.
a word. And I like that you said the dysfunctional part of me said that, okay, I'll take on this challenge and I will be. That is such a great way of saying that because we do it and we think it's like, It's a challenge. I can handle it. Our minds don't see that as dysfunction, but it is dysfunction. I love that you said that. So many good gems in this book, y'all. So the part where you talk about the beauty that was real, before you get to what broke, you are intentional about honoring what was genuinely beautiful, in the partnership. Because I do get a lot of friends that ask me, it's like, what's the point of getting married? I mean, you got a divorce, everybody's getting divorced, like, and I'm like, partnership itself is dope. Like, it's a beautiful thing. So you talk about that, you talk about the travel, the shared purpose. It was real. How do you hold both truths at the same time? Because a lot of women listening are afraid to admit that something hurt them in a life that they also love.
Yeah, two things can be true at once. I think being honest is the best way because there was no way for me to say in an 18-year marriage, everything was bad. That
Right.
is so untrue. I did not know that it was as bad as it was. I was building a beautiful life. And from the outside in, it looked amazing. I had the kids and the house and the cars and the cameras. And it was just the best presentation that I could possibly do. I think growing up in families in the Black community, we don't know what healthy love looks like, what a healthy relationship looks like. We just do our best. And for me, I was trying to honor the parts of me that did the best that I could with what I had. It
Mm,
is okay to accept that there are some parts of our journey that served its purpose. That was amazing. Like
right.
I lived this life. It was my life. It just wasn't true
Yeah.
to the truest degree. So it's important for women who are watching that may feel like, well, in order, if I say something was bad, then that means nothing was good. No, that it was also times that I enjoyed the love and what I felt was love and romance and going out and having a partner and it not be the healthiest situation for me. And is the connector. It's not or.
Right.
I was unhappy and it felt like I was happy at the same time.
Yeah, because that's one of the things for myself. Like, I noticed, even 14 years later, I'm still noticing things. In this second marriage, I'm noticing things that the understanding of what I thought was love then and what I understand love to be now. So at the time, yeah, I thought, I was like, oh, I'm happy, I'm enjoying myself. But then there was a dysfunctional idea of what love was and what I was experiencing, but I only saw that after the fact and looking back. And then also in this relationship that I'm in now, I'm recognizing new levels of love or new forms of love, healthy forms of love that I wasn't experiencing then. So I can't just say that that first marriage was like a total washout, and like not helpful, because there were moments of joy. And I think that is where a lot of women experience that, not so much regret, but more so shame, because they're questioning themselves, like, how can you say, how did you let this happen when you was enjoying yourself? You know, they ask themselves that question. And I think that may be where that comes from, is because you're kind of shaming yourself on the good times as well as the bad, because you feel like you just need to lump it all into a bad situation.
Right. Right. And it's important to feel the freedom to have both.
So you talk about the love for what you carry. This particular quote, you say, I asked him, what do you love about me? He paused, then said, I love how you love me. I still do not know how to hold that answer. When I read that, I felt a lot of ways, because I literally just told one of my girlfriends that it's interesting to me that when I have a conversation about why do you love me with my partner, he's like, he can give me a list, like, you do this, you do, and I'm like, and if he says, why do you love me, and I just do. And so I'm just like, is it because I'm performing? Or if I didn't perform these things that you say, that you love about me, would you not still love me? So I don't know how to hold that answer. That hit me, girl. I was like, I can't wait to talk to her because we're gonna have a conversation about this.
Yeah.
So tell me, do you know how to hold that answer? What did you
Well,
realize?
I can honestly say that in the future, if I'm in a relationship with somebody that they don't have evidence for their love, that's a problem for me. Because even if it's not what you do, it can be who you are. Love,
Hmm.
like for me, I'll give my younger daughter as an example. I love how she fills up a room, how she knows who she is. I love how she hangs out with her friends and she's able to communicate when something is uncomfortable for her. I love how she picks out clothes. I love sitting in a room and being in her presence. It's
Hmm.
like I want to know that you have taken emotional screenshots of what it's like to be in a relationship with me
Mm.
and have the footprint to get us back to some sort of place. Because love is both a feeling and an action. And if there's nothing, because we want to say, like, I want to know that I'm loved for who I am, but I
Yeah.
need you to know who I am. I need you to understand.
I'm like trying to tweet right now, emotional screenshots. That's my thing. I'm bringing it up in every argument.
I
What
think
emotional screenshots, sir?
because we get wrapped up in what we think is a feeling that there is no evidence for real love. How have you sacrificed? What is it like to provide for me? What is it like to be the man and be able to cover me? Like, what does that feel like? Give me something.
Yeah.
But if you only love me because of how I love you, then there is absolutely no point of my presence. I'm not adding any value but giving you something. So it's very selfish in a way.
It
So now,
is.
I mean, I know clearly, and even if I don't know, I know it when I see it. I know that this is not it. And from now on, if you can't communicate to me in any way, somewhere in the stratosphere of what is it like to be you and to be me and for us to be together? And
Mm.
how is this relationship making a difference in your life?
Yeah.
What does love feel like to you? And then if we were to measure and weigh our love, how heavy is it?
Ooh.
What's the density of this? Because smoke and mirrors, oh, you're the best thing ever. I just love you. All that means nothing to me. If
Mm.
you cannot quantify your love, because I'm going to tell you, I love when you wake up in the morning. I love your smell, your person. I love how you satisfy me. I love when we walk down the street and hold hands and the time we spend. This is what it feels like. I'm going to be overly expressive of what does it feel like from the inside out. And then what am I doing to demonstrate the positive and even sometimes the negative parts of us being together?
This is so good. You are teaching me something because now I feel like I'm the one that needs, I'm not giving emotional screenshots. I'm just saying, I just do. I just love you. And my husband could give me a list. I love you because you do this, you do that. Like, I love you. And in my mind, I was sitting there thinking, like, oh, it's because I'm performing. But no, I love what you're saying. Like, give me the emotional screenshots. I need to see the record, I need to see the receipts. So,
Receipts. And we don't hold each other accountable for that. We
mm,
just, I love you because you told me. That doesn't work for me. Because I had somebody that told me for a lot of years that they loved me. And what does that mean? So now I'm like, the words, that's okay. I thank you for the words,
right.
but I want to see something. I want to see how that love translates into something seeable.
This is good, y'all. This is good. For divorced women and women who are in marriage now, this is really good because this is healing a past thought for me and my current situation. Like I love this. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going because I got more questions, y'all. So now let's talk about this. Here's another one that hit me. Let's talk about silence as survival. Because not only do married women go through this, but women in general experience this. This is the quote from the book. Silence was simpler. It cost much less. Over time, I stopped trying to be understood. Know that feeling. I learned how to move around my husband the way I had learned to move around my father, anticipating moves, choosing timing carefully, editing myself before I ever spoke. This is the one that is going to hit women hardest because this is not dramatic. This is just Tuesday. Like, what was the lie you told yourself the longest to stay, and what finally made it impossible to keep telling that lie?
I think the biggest lie I told myself was, if you keep the peace, you'll have a good life. That if you just be quiet, if you don't have needs, if you make life easier for everybody else, then you'll end up getting something at the end. And I ended up with nothing at the end because I had given everything to everybody else. And I lived out that lie in blood, sweat, and tears. So it cost me physically to show up, to be present, to notice everybody, to hold the family, to do all these things. But for what?
Mm-hmm.
Just to maintain, to get by, to get to another week, to get to another holiday, another celebration, another year. And the
Yeah.
payoff was not there.
Yeah, you're constantly holding out for the hope of something, and then you never get it. That has to be extremely draining
Yeah.
to your life force, period. So yeah, oh, this so
Many of
okay.
us live that way though.
We
It's
do. We do.
our grandma sacrificed, our mamas sacrificed. They gave everything they had. And it's normal. But nowadays women are kind of waking up and saying, let's go a different path. That this is one option, but there are other options.
Yeah. I want to talk about when the quiet truth became the public truth. The dissonance between what was powerful in public and what was happening in private. How did you live inside that gap for so long? And how much of that silence was about protecting the marriage versus protecting the institution of marriage? Because we cannot forget that you're the pastor's wife. So there is a certain facade that needs to be put out there. So, how much of that was about protecting your marriage versus the institution of marriage?
I think much of it was protecting my husband and protecting the life we built because that's what I was trained and taught to do. So there was no other option. There was never any other option. Even after divorce, there was not another option for a long time. It took me a while to say I'm a separate person with a separate path, and I get to say and feel what I want to feel about this relationship. So at 18 years old, being like sworn into the circle of truth is just a part of it. I understood it as this is the cost of the life you live. You get a lot of
Mm,
wonderful blessings, but this is the part. You do not speak. You do not tell anyone. Everybody has a best friend. That information travels. It will get back to me. It is devastating. We don't do that. And I was like, okay.
mm.
I think that the church has a part of that protection, but I was the kind of partner where like we ride at dawn.
Right.
If something broke down, like good and I'm good, we can fold the church. Like I could get over that part.
Right.
It was more of like the personal part that was very important. And then belonging to this broader picture. I even had like a professor that I really believed in and I thought she knew me very well. And I went to her like when it was time to divorce and I like told her everything like that was really going on. And she said that makes sense why when I was in the master's program, what she felt like something was not right.
Mm.
And she said the first thing she said was, "Well, what about everybody else? What about the congregation?" And I go, "The congregation? The congregation? Like, I'm just telling you the truth. And you're telling me, she said, divorce slowly because you have people that look up to you.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I remember thinking, we're going to burn it all down then, because you're telling me it's okay for me to die and it's okay for me to live a life well beneath God's best for me. Forget
Mhm.
God's best. What is reasonable for anyone? You're telling me to live beneath that because of the appearance or this organization. It's not
Yeah,
okay. I was even like, I would rather go to hell. I'll go to hell because at least that's in the afterlife. That's later.
right. Because I'm
I
living it.
can't live in hell here. Afraid of what's going to happen when I die. I'm sorry if what I'm doing is so bad and it's so devastating. I will take the punishment, but we're going to make a change. So in some ways, I was 90% tethered to protecting my partner and what we built. Then secondary, I was probably thinking about the church.
And I could understand that because I find myself to be this extremely loyal person, right? And so in my first marriage, it was like, okay, it's me and you know, it's us all the time against the world. And when these things started happening, I was not that person that would tell anybody something was happening because, for one, I didn't want people to have a negative view of my husband. I didn't want them to, because you have ups and downs. You don't know how it's going to turn out. And I didn't want somebody to hold a grudge against him. So I wasn't telling anybody anything. But I always say that divorce or marriage itself is a very lonely place because only two people know what's going on there. No one else knows what's happening. And when you do try to reach out, you get situations like what you just got. And, it's because they don't know the full story. No, without them knowing the full story, they don't want, sometimes you get people who don't want to pick a side. You get people who will just pick a side. It's a very lonely place because you still don't feel seen, you don't feel understood, and it's as if you could just never get any solace there. So yeah, I totally understand that. Let's talk about the slow dying because you did say, I'm dying here. You want me to stay here and I'm dying. I remember going to the church and they were like, "Well, we need to do some therapy." But the therapy was not it just wasn't it wasn't it. It was just a lot of scripture being thrown at me that says, "Well, you need to stay because you can help your husband change his ways." And I'm like, I can? Okay. Like, how is this possible? So let's talk about that. There's in the book you say I had been dying in that marriage long before it ended. The collapse was not the destruction of my life. It was the exposure of a truth that I had been carrying almost imperceptibly for years. What does that kind of slow dying feel like from the inside? Especially when the outside looks like everything is fine, because it does to everybody else. They think it's the best thing since sliced bread. I think there is a woman who's listening right now who is in that middle space and she does not even have the words for it yet. So, what do you have to say to that?
Well, I kind of see it as being awake and being asleep. And there was a time where I was asleep. That meant I knew something wasn't right, but I didn't know enough. And what was I going to do about it? So I chose to remain and make the best out of it and build a life, right? And then there comes a time where no matter how you want to suppress it, quiet it, ignore it, you can't. There's something that awakens that starts to feel like a nagging little something poking, something buzzing, something that says, there's something that's not right. And you have to do something about it. And for me, that was the worst part. The worst part wasn't not knowing or being asleep because I can do that. The part was waking up and now knowing that this is not healthy. This is not aligned and you're continuing to stay here. And that's what I felt like was the slow death. because
Mm.
I was watching my body, my hair falling out, me feeling like something is going to happen that I will never be able to recover from,
Wow.
because now I'm internalizing all of my angst and it's going inside my physical body. So instead of me just thinking thoughts and passing thoughts or experiencing my partner, I was taking everything that I was seeing in my world and internalizing it. And I was very aware of it. I was very aware. And it was like either you're going to be on life support
Mm.
and get just barely enough to
Yeah.
live. It's like I imagine myself with an IV and it was just giving me a few little drops,
Mm.
just enough to get to the next day. And I thought, what kind of existence is this? That I'm getting a few drops of life to keep me alive so that I can go to church on Sunday, so that my kids have a two-parent home and that I'm not a statistic because I don't know what I'm going to do to survive if I leave. Like all of that was a part of the slow death. Is that my full self cannot be on display, that I had to be a fraction of myself in order to stay in this relationship. And now the little bit of myself I have is now dying. And there is nothing I can do to fix it besides making a life altering change. That is the slow death. And every day passing, every day getting older, every day experiencing life as just 1/4 of who I am.
Mhm.
And getting older, meaning turning 40. 40 was in the like I could see it coming. Kids getting older, going through the motions and seeing that everything we've invested in is not moving forward. So there's no progression, there's no zenith. We're just maintaining. And that just got too expensive.
Mm.
And I chose myself.
I love that. I think what you just said about you're getting just enough and you're starving yourself, slowly dying. I want if you are a woman who is in that particular space, I want you to take that visualization and take it with you and really study it, and you have to save yourself because that is such a powerful visualization of what is actually happening to you when you stick around, knowing, like she said, the awareness. You guys, if you're tuned in to the Double Black Chick podcast, we talk about awareness all the time. And awareness does not hold back. It is straight true. You saw it, you saw it, and it's going to bother you. So I definitely want my listeners to take that visualization with you if you are in that space and think about what you're going to do to save yourself, which I want to kind of jump to that. Like, what in writing this memoir, was this a part of the healing? Was this a part of saving yourself?
It was probably the last part of me claiming my agency, that I am my own person. I get to decide, I get to share my truth. And I was very nervous. I didn't even tell anybody about it. I didn't let anybody read it. I just was like, so that's how, and I had gone like 4 years. No, it was 3 years when I wrote it. I had been divorced. And I was thinking, oh, I'm in my healing phase. I'm so much better. I've grown. And then I wrote the book and it kind of revealed to me where I had grown and where I was still timid.
Mm-hmm.
And putting it out and not caring is where I think my healing really took like the completion phase. Like
Yeah.
it is, I felt like it is finished. I've done my due diligence. I've given what I could give at this moment. And it just felt like it was complete. The
Yeah.
story was complete. The journey was complete. Nothing missing, nothing broken. You did what you needed to do. You're going to help people, hopefully, and everything else will work itself out.
It's truly going to help. You right. I had been hiding my lived experience of my marriage for nearly 2 decades. I was hiding parts of myself, my hurt, my desires, and the woman I was meant to be. I had lived inside a story that demanded my silence and rewarded my sacrifice. What do you want the woman who is still inside that story, still performing, still silent, still holding everything, to take from Honest? What do you want her to give herself permission to feel?
To feel, I would want her to have permission to be honest with herself. Even if she doesn't tell anybody, even if she doesn't make a move, she doesn't file, even if she stays, to be able to see another option, to acknowledge that here's a different path somebody took. Here's my path, but there's another path, and to be okay and be honest with herself about the condition of her environment, what that environment cost her, to be able to look at it with awareness and say, I get it now. When I was asleep and I didn't know, okay, that's one thing, but I now know.
Right.
And to be okay with just being right there. We rush to the decision, we rush to the next step. There's something beautiful about this awareness. And for somebody to read and say, I see myself in this story, I see myself, let me just breathe with that. And don't worry about the next right step at this moment. Just be
Mm,
okay that there are multiple options. I thought that the option I was living was the only way until it got so bad that I thought death shouldn't have to be the option or stay. There
mm,
has to be another way. And my way was to walk away from it all. And had somebody shown me another option, it might have, I don't know if it would have kept me in my marriage, but it sure would have felt good.
right.
So I say be honest with yourself, with your situation and where you are, and give yourself enough time to feel what that's like before you take the next right step.
Beautiful. Who is Myesha Chaney becoming on the other side?
Maisha is becoming the fullest, the richest, the most healed, best self that she could be. Okay. And I mean that to the umpteenth degree. I mean that to the zenith. There are places that I'm reaching up for that I didn't even know was possible.
Yeah.
I'm living the life of my dreams right now. Imperfect. I mean, listen, I got so many things breaking out in my life and I am delighted to go
Yeah.
through things in my life where I get to decide what I'm doing. I get to decide where I'm living. I get to decide what my life is like. I don't take that for granted. So I'm living, this journey has led me back to the purest version of who I always was all along. And
Mm,
I have been able to unload the things that were never meant for me to carry in the first place.
yeah. This is such an aligned interview. We talk about stepping into our true identity all the time and how your life can align with who you were truly meant to be, because we get so distracted along the way that we become these other beings, and that the idea of becoming is really not turning into something new, it's just returning to who you were created to be.
Absolutely.
Myesha, I thank you. I thank you so much for being here. Thank you for this memoir. Thank you for being honest and sharing it, because this is the type of conversation that I even created this podcast for. I did because this is the true dopeness. It wasn't, you know, the success or accolades that made you dope. It is this moment that makes you dope. Like, we get to see your full dopeness. And to me, you are a dope Black chick. So for every woman who just heard herself in something that Myesha said, I want you to know that is not an accident. That's recognition. And recognition is the beginning. Recognition, aka awareness, that's the beginning. And if this episode moved you, I want you guys to do three things. I want you to, number one, share this episode. Share it. Send it to the woman who needs to hear it. And you already know who she is. Two, go get Myesha's book. It's called Honest. I'll have the link in the show notes in the description. You won't miss it. You know, we have a book club. We'll be talking about that book too. Make sure you go get the book. And three, Myesha, tell them how they can follow you, find you, all that good stuff.
Yeah, on all social media platforms, it's Myesha Chaney, my full name. And I would love to hear your stories and how you're moving through this next chapter of your life and everything in between. So I'm present, I'm available on all platforms at Myesha Chaney.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much. I mean, how do you feel? You got your book out. This is good. How do you feel about that?
Feel amazing. I feel amazing. I really, really do. It's beyond words.
Awesome. 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 Look, guys, if you are doing this kind of identity work, if you're working through a situation like this, if you're in the middle of the becoming and you need a soft place to land, the Becoming Membership Circle was made for you. It is a community of women who are in the exact same place and they're doing the exact same work. They're not performing it, they're actually doing it. The link will be in the show notes so you can join us. I thank you guys for being here for another episode of The Dope Black Chick. As always, peace and blessings.